Dari, hello. It's May 2020 and in front of you you're looking at the Chromebook on the left and my Humboldt on the right. And this is a short review of Chromebooks in 2020 because I've not had a chance to play with one for absolutely ages, having owned one for over a year whilst living in Switzerland. So the backstory is that Agatha and Marcus are involved with the local village and council, and we're trying to see if there's a way of disseminating or distributing computers to the elderly, especially in these COVID times. So they've got communication between their loved ones and between neighbours such as ourselves. Something simple that they could install or have installed Zoom upon for video conferencing, and also something that can be used for email and basic web activities like looking at your bank. So we've tried a number of different things and considered a number of different things, but one suggestion has been Chromebooks, and so I've got the chance to play with quite an elderly Acer Chromebook. It's a model that's not even made anymore, but it seems to be performing quite well. And I just thought I'd review Chromebooks because, again, I haven't used them for a long time. When I last used them, there was no ability to run programs on a command line. But in front of you, actually, as if by magic, you'll see we've actually got a Linux command line that's just turned up. So you're looking at at least 2 or 3 year old Chromebook. Unfortunately, they're still about £200 or £300 at least, and we'll come to that at the end, hopefully. So it's a 14-inch Chromebook. It runs ChromeOS, which is obviously Linux under the covers. It's running a Linux container for command line, and it's got a standard set of features here. The main thing that's changed, I think, over the years since having used a Chromebook, like I say, for many years ago, is that there's now an app store. So besides the Chrome browser and running Chrome applications, you can just go into the app store, and in the app store you can install apps that you like. So as a quick example, I've got Speedtest installed here. So Speedtest was installed as an app from the Play Store, and it's not a bad value or proposition for people who have good Wi-Fi. So the value proposition that I see in the future is the following. You can buy a Chromebook for someone. It's a pretty indestructible device in the sense that it's very difficult for an end user to misconfigure a Chromebook. It's really running ChromeOS, which is just showing you a browser and now apps from the App Store, which is quite convenient. And that Chromebook is just going to keep going. It's very difficult to mess it up in terms of a similar basis on a Windows or an OS X machine or Mac machine. It could be possible to install malicious software, but from a ChromeOS browser point of view, I think that's more difficult. And secondly, like I say, the main key advantage these days is that you actually do have an app store. So the app store is available to anyone, and in that you can install your apps like Speedtest or a whole load of Android type apps. So I'm very impressed with the Chromebook as it stands. It's not particularly fast. It does have a webcam and a microphone, so it's an all-in-one solution. But I think the other main advantage to me is that there is now a Linux command line. Now, the reason I was actually, so that's the Alt tab key. So that's a full Linux command line, and you can become root. And I can check. So I've got full Unix command line. I'm running an update there, and in fact, what I've done for the last couple of hours is update the system, and then found that when I've updated and increased the Linux levels, nothing worked. So I'm suspicious that it's a beta feature at the moment. I'm suspicious that it's not totally working correctly. And I think it's probably left well alone. In other words, you'd install Linux if you want as a power user. You'd install your applications and be very careful about upgrading the underlying operating system, because I found out in this very short test that things start working. So that's it really. Chromebooks in 2020, yes, interesting value proposition. I still think an expensive alternative. So just to compare again, I've talked about this before. This is my, it was called the crap top, but it's been upgraded to the humble top. So the humble top cost me £100. It's running with a pretty fast SATA M2 drive. So it's a 500 megabytes per second drive. The drive probably costs as much as the laptop. But this retail device on the right hand side, including the upgraded M2 drive, would set you back at most £250. And I've looked at the prices of Chromebooks on the left, and you're not going to get very much under £400. So to me, it's still a better proposition if you're an enthusiast to buy a rather modest notebook, install Linux on it, which is not without its troubles because there's hardware compatibility issues on many Linux, as I've experienced on this Linux. But that having said, if you're an enthusiast, you can run regular Linux. You'll get speed from regular Linux even on some kind of modest hardware. If you're an end user who just wants to browse and run the odd app, you can do that now on a Chromebook. And I think possibly for the elderly generation who aren't very computer savvy, this might be a good alternative. And if you're an enthusiast, you can install the Linux subsystem, but beware, it's still a beta and might cause you heartache and lose all your apps if you're not careful. So that's the review. Chromebooks, pretty good. Cheap laptop for enthusiasts, I think better. Okay, thanks for watching, Darren.